now let's turn our attention to what's going on in the news and get an uncredible take on that. So I wake up, I can't remember which day it was because it was a bad week for sleep, as I mentioned. I wake up, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day it was that this was going on. And you pull up your social media, and all over social media is this couple that I think they're Russian. I don't know. I didn't do much research on it, but this couple that climbed to the top of the Empire State Building, they hung a sign, they did a proposal. As I'm getting ready for work and I'm just trying to get in my right headspace, this is all I find on my feed. I'm like, ugh, what is going on here? I don't care. At first, my first thought was it's like a political stunt where some liberals had come up with this idea to fly this sign. Then you find out they're doing a proposal. And it's like, oh, that's cute or whatever. But then they're also going to jail. So there's that. And then they get out. I think they got out of jail the next morning. So anyway, this couple climbs. They do these climbs where they do these high risk climbs. It doesn't look like they use any support. And they're a couple, so they enjoy it together. And they do, like, I saw one clip of them doing the Hollywood sign in California. They do this all over the place. And I was like, oh, that's cool that they do that together. It's kind of weird that they want to do the Empire State Building. And one of the things I noticed was it must have been happening live when I pulled it up. And one of the newscasters was like, how did they get up there? I've been to the Empire State Building, and you can't just get access to that level, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, they probably just climbed, but I guess you can't. I don't know the structure that well. And they literally had this like, oh, how'd they get up there? Oh, what happened? And initially I was like, was it really that hard? You obviously can get up there. But there's obviously a way to get up there, and you just have to get in there with, like, it's probably a secure door or whatever. But as climbers, I would assume that's not a difficult task for them to even do from the outside of the building. So anyway, the next morning, I realized I was reading articles about it. I was showing somebody at work who hadn't even heard about it, what had happened, and trying to find pictures. And I skimmed through an article, and I find out at the end of the article, they're pushing, they have a documentary on Netflix. And I was like, oh, okay, this was just a publicity stunt to push their Netflix documentary and get more views on that. So it's like, we're doing a short in the news today because, I could probably talk about the Iran war every single week because that's not going anywhere. Talk about a forever war. That will forever be done and not done in my lifetime, probably. It'd be interesting we should start taking bait. I wonder what Polymarket says in terms of the betting market on that, on when the actual Iran war will be over, because it just continues. But this was one that popped up. It was kind of unique. And I was thinking about it, that is anything real anymore? Is anything that we post on, that you see on social media, is any of it real, or is it all performative? It's like, I get on here, I just I write notes throughout the week, and then I just read it and talk about it and whatever. That's about as real as you can get. But I'm like, why is everything a stunt to sell something? It's like, it's hard to believe anything anymore. And, you think that, I guess for them as a couple, it's romantic to have them do their proposal up there, but that all had to have been planned. I highly doubt that she was unaware that he was going to propose, and even more so, when you start thinking about the logistics of it, they got let out the next day, and this one newscaster was like, oh, how did they get up there? Well, they probably just slipped the guy $1,000. They were probably all in on it. Like, it was probably like, yeah, we'll let you up there. We'll fly helicopters around. It's like, it seemed like it was all set up to generate this media, blitz for this thing. Is what it seemed like to me. So it really was just a publicity stunt. Would have been cool if it was a real thing. But then when you think about it, the news and social media and all those helicopters and all that stuff would not have been around for it. My guess is they let the city of New York know. Probably the city of New York said these would be the consequences. They probably had a legal team involved, and they did the math on it. And they said, you know what? We'll probably go to jail for a night. We'll do this whole spectacle. We'll get a ton of likes, a ton of views. We'll let a couple news agencies know about it so they can fire up their helicopters and be there. It's like the way they presented it on at least the news feed that I saw, it was like, shock, look at these people. Who could have known? You guys, you probably knew 3 weeks in advance and you just planned it. And it's just kind of like, it's like I said, my uncredible take on that news story is it presented itself as spontaneous and like they woke up that morning and decided to climb the Empire State Building, when the reality is this was probably a well thought out, well planned media blitz that they did to promote their documentary, which, good for them, capitalism, woohoo. But it just makes me wonder, like, is anything real anymore that we see? I think about like what I do with this. I one of my goals was to have no cut scenes. Now I do, like, between each segment, I do take a drink. I'll walk away for a minute. Sometimes I'll see a cat in the window. Like, one of my cats will start meowing in my window, and I'll let him in, and then I'll come back. But in terms of, like, I don't do cuts. I don't really plan it out. I just think we need more of that in media altogether. So if nothing else, hopefully I provide that. But yeah, my uncredible take is like, man, nothing seems real anymore. Like, everything is a reality TV show, and it's not actual real representation of what's happening in the world. So, and what does that say? What does that say about us as people, that we have to put something out there that's not us in order to gain acceptance for someone we're not even actually, like, we're putting on a performance. Like, what does that say about us as a society? It's sad. But yeah, thought that was an interesting story. Cool that they did it. I'm sure it was a great experience for them. I'm sure they made a lot of money, and I'm sure their Netflix documentary has done very well this last.
No quit. Building their world. While they talk about us. Educated. Experienced. Still not credible. So we embraced it. Now we're uncredible.